Why seed plugs? Why not just direct plant? Valid question. When you're it's a weird one. When you're planting a lot of seeds, you don't want to occupy a whole container like that with a seed if you're not sure that it is going to sprout. And you can never be 100% sure. So seed plugs give you the ability to eliminate any bad seeds from the equation. iHort Q plugs are the seed plugs that we use, and the seed plugs that will come. Oh, I got this gimbal. Still figuring it out. Yeah, but iHort Q plugs are the plugs that we use and that we will be including in the seed starting kits when they come. And the answer to when they will be here is, I don't know, 35, 40 days, a little over a month. I think that is one of the things that we will sell. We got more of the fabric pots coming. I don't know, we might sell those too, but really we initially got these things, all this stuff, call it merch, call it whatever. We initially got all this stuff to just giveaways, stuff to give away to people in the, just like the plant tags. All right. So these we buy cases of these iHeart Q plugs. I think they come maybe 700 something to a case, and they are made of, I want to say cocoa, maybe some, here, I'll look at the box. I think maybe some peat moss, but then I know there is cocoa, like biochar, like coconut husk biochar. And I think that's one of the things that make them as good as they are. I guess it doesn't say much about them on there, just the website, but yeah. They are. We've used every kind of seed plug you can imagine. As you would imagine, we have gone through, we used to use, oh God, what are they called? Drawing a blank. But they were essentially like a little like soil sausage. They were like a really very thin material, kind of just like a tube of like very thin material, and then on the inside, it was actually we were able to request whatever blend we wanted, and I think the one that it came with was good. We had them take something out. I think there was like a controlled release nutrient in there, like a very mild dose of it in there, and we had them take that out. But other than that, not like that one. They were good. I'm trying to remember what they were called. I don't think it was earth pots. It was something like that. So yeah, I mean, we've done these trials before, but I think just to demonstrate for people, we're gonna do a kind of a side-by-side sort of deal. I got this thing so that you can free up my hands. So we're going to do some of the seed starting trays with no bottom, which is how we will be, we had a new mold created by the manufacturer to specifically remove the bottom and to change the size to fit these. Though these are dried up now, but so they're a little bit bigger. But these square ones, 4550, are the size from iHeart, and they have like that little slit, so it's easy to plant seeds in there. The way that we do it with these ones, which are just the ones that are more available locally to us, we just rip off a little piece and kind of plug up the hole there because that hole's a little bit big. So they are a little bit too long, so you can kind of just rip off the bottom, and then they'll kind of sit in there, because they're slightly bigger than the hole, and then they're suspended in there, and they're making contact with the plastic here. So where they make contact with the plastic, that's where the water doesn't evaporate easily, and that's where the moisture is, and that's where the roots go. The roots will seek out the moisture. So, that is the concept behind what makes the bottomless seed starting trays, kind of like Red Robin fries. Bottomless seed starting trays work as well as they do, and you get some lateral rooting. It's a thing that is used in horticulture. Like it's not just something we made up. It's a concept that has been figured out before. So I do not take credit for the bottomless seed tray, but it is something that works well for autoflower. Kind of unnecessary for photoperiod seeds, but definitely works well for autoflush. What are these, Tommy? They are seed starting plugs. They're just like cocoa. I don't know what, honestly, you know what? It is a good question what they do to make them spongy like that. I have no clue, come to think of it. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Oh, there we go. You use these for cloning? How come you choose these over rock wool? Bear man. What about these? Do you like these? Work really well for rock wool. I find to be a little bit dense for autoflower seeds, and these are really loose and spongy, and I really like that for autoflowers. I feel like the roots, it doesn't give them really any resistance. Maybe that's, I have no way to sort of like prove that, but I've seen them do better in these than with rock wool. So I just kind of assume that that's what it is, but why does the chat keep disappearing? For transportation, for ebb and flow system. For transportation. What do you mean transportation? Like moving them from one place to another? I mean, I was just, if you're doing photo periods, just curious what, how come you choose these over rock wool? I mean, I think they're better than rock wool anyway. I don't know how much the biochar actually interacts with the seeds or actually does much. And these, I can see these being a little bit maybe tricky for cloning because all the holes are not the same size and some of them can different textures and stuff. Not with these ones, not with the 4550s. These I think would be really good for cloning because of that slit there. I think that would actually be perfect for cloning. Come to think of it, rock wool's too hard to adjust. You mean adjust pH and EC? That's interesting. Because typically people use rock wool just for that very reason. It's responsive quickly, so you can get really rapid adjustments in rock wool. Yeah. Just do one size, like a different size. Okay. Yeah, rock wool. Every time I've grown with rock wool, or one of my clients has done rock wool, it's always been like a 4-inch cube on a slab, or a 4-inch cube on top of an 8-inch cube. And then with rock wool, the goal at the end of the day, the goal is to, I should be doing this into like a bucket or something. I didn't plan this very well. Is to keep, not when you're doing crop steering with rock wool. Rock wool is really good for crop steering because I should not show that on YouTube. There we go. Okay. Essentially, you want the plants to think that it's drought conditions. Then the plant responds with like hormones that cause the roots to seek water, grow faster, and then that's how you can sort of crop steering is essentially the concept is keeping your plant on the verge of death all the time. And that's why it's kind of risky, especially for new rooms, new setups, new growers. If you don't get it just right, or if you have a system failure of some sort and they don't get watering or two, your whole grow can go down in a matter of 12 hours. Your plants can go from, super healthy looking to like dead, irredeemable, like just gone. So I have seen it happen, and sometimes it's not even the grower's fault. It's like that, they could have redundancies in place. They could have done everything that they were supposed to, and like a line will just, a line that feeds the whole system. So even like the redundancy, even their backup wasn't, there are things that can happen in commercial grows that really are nobody's fault. But, with new rooms, you kind of have to, can't plan to get your investment back. The money people, usually the money people are not the same as the growers. Usually the money people hire the growers, and it's a weird dynamic. When you come in as a consultant, the growers don't want you there. You come in for a reason. Usually you come in because some stuff is not doing what it's supposed to. The grow's not, and you come in to solve a problem, and the grower's like, I have this under control, bro. Just, and then the money person is like, they want everybody to think that they hired a good grower. They didn't make a mistake and hire a shitty grower, and that's why their whole system is, or their whole grow is not doing good, because they want to seem competent too as business people, and then the growers want to seem competent as growers, so both the money person usually is the one that wants you there. The grower is usually somebody that doesn't want you there. Sometimes they do, but usually they don't want you there, and it leads to a weird dynamic where you're having this ongoing conversation with both of them, and you have to sort of, you have to behave in a way that benefits both people, where nobody's going to get pissed off at you. Oftentimes, the people you're there to help are at fault for what's going on, like everybody. One extra. So it is, I am very happy I no longer have to deal with a lot of that. That speedrun has sort of become a full-time job, and that I didn't even think that was not part of the plan. I kind of thought that I was going to be doing the consulting a lot longer. Robin, these are iHort Q plugs. Just say it on there. Q plugs. There you go. These are 4080s. The ones that are going to come in the seed starting kits are 4550s, if I'm not mistaken. Just different shape, different size. I think they're the same material, although these are a different texture. These kind of fall apart a lot easier, which I'm not super. They're messier. iHort Q plugs, yeah. If you're starting autoflower seeds, they are highly recommended, and you can get them from us if you want to wait. If you have seeds that you want to start in, like I said, probably 40-something days, maybe 35, 40 days. We're going to be getting a lot of them delivered to us, and then I think we'll probably, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll just kind of take a little poll or something, and we'll see what people want us to do, whether we should just list them right on the website or whether they should just be like giveaways. But we have 3,000 seed starting trays coming, so you're definitely going to see them. And I can show you what they're going to look like. I don't have the most, the most recent sample that we approved production on available to me here at the grow, but I do have the previous sample, so I can show you the general concept of what they are. I don't know why it doesn't constantly show me the chat, like, disappears. Maybe because nobody's saying anything, that's probably why. I know it's late. My schedule has been totally backwards. But it's never a bad thing when you're running a grow to have people there during the day and people there at night. So, yeah. So initially here, we're gonna do 560, and then quite a few are gonna get killed off in the first couple weeks. So here's the seed starting kit. They are, well, they hold themselves closed pretty well, and these are not all dried up. They're nice and spongy because they hold their moisture really well. And this, they weren't even fully shut. So these are loose in the slots because this is the previous sample. So what we did for these came originally, they were like this, too big. So we had them literally shape the insert tray cells to the exact size as these plugs. We measured them. We had to go through 3 samples before they were perfect, and then we had them remove the bottoms. So they're perfectly sized, and they just kind of hold themselves in. They don't drop out the bottom like that. They kind of hold. They suspend like that, and then there's a little gap of air, and that is what drives the roots laterally. I was just discussing with somebody yesterday that maybe the logo could have been a little bit bigger, but I think it's about right. Stay hydrated. They're in production right now, Robin, so that takes about 20 days for production, and then I'm having a good number of them FedEx shipped, which takes another 12 to 14 days. So I want to say 35 to 40 days just to be safe, and Yeah, maybe a little sooner. Usually they're not incorrect. When the manufacturer says something's going to take 20 days, usually it does. So, same people that make our packaging and the fabric pots and the seed starting, or sorry, the plant tags. It is not easy finding a good manufacturer that can do that kind of. There we go. What was I saying? Finding a good manufacturer that can do a really wide range of stuff that can make everything is not easy. So when you do find one, it's good to, I mean, for us, it's been good to stick with them. But when there is a quality issue, they handle it really well. You know, like they'll replace items, and like the scissors. I don't know. Probably none of you here that are watching this will remember or would have been around for like, we got a round of scissors that we have trimming scissors coming around the same time as the seed starting trays, and we got like a first test batch of trimming scissors, and the scissors are good, but the logo, the Speedrun logo on the handle, it just rubbed off super easily. And so I don't know how, like, it's a product that they sell, so there must be other customers that they put the logo on the handle for. Like, I don't understand. That was weird. That was the first time where I was like genuinely puzzled because of the lack of, like, I don't know if it's not, I wouldn't call it a lack of quality. Like, it was just the wrong kind of ink for that handle. Maybe it was, we kind of did change the color of the handle, so that maybe that changed the sample was like a hard plastic handles on the scissors, and what the product ended up being was more rubberized. I think that's probably what it was, and that ink that they normally use just didn't work well for the scissors. So yeah, like that was like a, they were like, yeah, it's just the wrong ink for that material, and they switched it immediately to laser etching our logo on the blade, which is not nearly as visible, but hey, it is what it is. I think it's I don't know, I like the laser etching is classy. I think it's nice. Would I have been happy if they had our logo on the handle too? Sure. But can't always get what you want. Yeah, so we are just about there on the room. We've been doing some testing with the AC and ensuring that we can maintain a decent temperature. Can I zoom in on this? How do I? Is that an X for the? No. All right. Can you pinch to zoom? I don't think so. Here, I'll take you off of this thing. So, temperature, can you see that? Is 67. So, we've been able to maintain a pretty good temp in here, 70 down there, and we have temperature probes, high and low over here, and then we have some over there as well. Yeah, we got 5.5 inch square pots that are getting filled out back, and we're gonna fit 14 to a tray just like this in this arrangement, and that's gonna give us some decent space, because they're gonna be a little bit, like they kind of go toward the middle because they're not heavy and they're not holding down the wicking mat. But yeah, so they're gonna have some pretty decent space because there's gaps in between the trays, and we may do some training to ensure that we got, like, breathing room for the plants as they, not training, sorry. We don't do any training as we're pheno hunting as far as like the shape of the plant or anything like that. But we might, use some bamboo or just some garden wire to just kind of bend them outward toward the gaps to avoid them choking each other out. So, but yeah, this is all happening right now. Before the end of the week, we will be 100% planted, and then so that means next week we're gonna have seedlings, and we'll be out of the trays and in the 5.5-inch pots. Yeah, it's all good. The second AC unit. So we had, this is a 20 light room, and it is a 700 and something square foot of cultivation, 20 lights, and it's essentially, the room is essentially like 30 by 30. So is that 900 square foot, and then we're doing probably 700 square foot of cultivation in there. And we had a 24,000 BTU mini split, because this room typically rooms. There we go. I don't own this building. I did not build this facility, just the room. So it was not built, obviously, it was not built with growing in mind. That's why we had to insulate the window frames with some foam boards. So there was a 24,000 BTU air conditioner unit, and the convention as it relates to how much cooling you need per light is the 1,000 watt HPS high intensity lights, metal halide, high pressure sodium. Per every 1,000 watt of those, you should have 4,000 to 6,000 BTUs of cooling. And LEDs obviously produce a lot less heat than those do. But even though it's less than half of the amount of heat, they produce less than half, I believe. Or it's like, maybe it's 60%, I don't know, there's a number. But there is some math you can do to know exactly how much cooling that you need, how many BTUs of cooling per 1,000 watts of LED light. And these are 700 watt lights, so there's an equation. And 24,000 BTUs of cooling was not quite enough, so we added another 14,000 BTUs, which puts us over the line for what we need. But numbers are not always true to life, and sometimes you end up needing more. Sometimes it's overkill. If you put 6,000 BTUs of cooling in a room where you've got light, HPS lights, but you've got the HPS lights, like the ventilated ones. Sometimes 6,000 BTUs of cooling per light was too much back in when those were common. So in this room, we have a pretty efficient ventilation system, but we wanted to sort of test. I kind of knew. I was sort of prepared. I knew that 24,000 BTUs of cooling for 20 LED lights in this room, even with the ventilation system, would be far too little cooling. And I just was sort of interested to see what temperature it would end up being in here with the lights running 24/7 on full strength with just the 24,000 and BTUs, that is. And it ended up being about 80, 81 degrees in here. So that's, we sort of used that number, that temperature, as a gauge for how much more cooling we were going to need and what the next step was. And that is the reason that we installed this big honkin' whatever, just take it out of the thing here, hold on. Sort of hard to see. I can turn this light off. It is a 14,000 watt or 14,000 BTU window AC unit, and there is a sort of like a deck, I guess, on the upper floor of this building, which is so. The underside of that, we forgot where I was now. We ended up. That's right. Using some unistrut and some chains to hang that AC unit instead of mounting it on the bottom of the windowsill, which is normally what you do with an AC unit. We didn't want the cold air blowing right on our plants, so luckily we had something to hang it from, and we used I could. It's dark here, but at some point I'll go out and take a picture and post it on our social media somewhere of how we hung that unit. And now it's pointing to like perfectly. Like you can you can feel the cold air like kind of cascading down over mouth is dry. Over the plants. It's pretty perfect. Everybody should remember to drink more water. That's why I like auto pots. Just like people. Well, just like people do with themselves, they tend to undersupply their plants with water. That's like the biggest thing. Like probably for growers, cannabis growers, home growers, commercial growers, everyone. The plants are undersupplied with water. Now, they might not be underwatered for, considering the medium they're in, but people might use a medium that doesn't drain efficiently enough for the plant to get frequent enough doses of fresh nutrients and water. And that's that's probably the most important, or I would say the most frequent problem that we see growers suffering from. It's just the plants are not getting those frequent doses of fresh nutrients, and you end up with under under irrigated, I would say, not underwatered. I would call them under irrigated. That's a live chat. You going live on YouTube each day, or are you changing platforms? Not sure where to find me. Yeah, I've been trying every day. There was Sundays probably. I mean, not every Sunday. Maybe some Sundays I will, but like, I would tell people to not have the expectation that I will be going live every day of like every weekend day. But every weekday, I've been trying to. I think yesterday we missed. Sometimes there's just like family stuff gets in the way or whatever it is. Today, almost positive. I mean, I don't see any other explanation. I think I got food poisoning. But it only lasted like I stopped at McDonald's, went to the pharmacy and stopped at McDonald's, and I got a caramel frap and the new chicken strips that they have. I ate them. Well, no, sorry. I ate one of them. I ate one chicken strip, and I drank the coffee drink. I don't know how much coffee is actually in there, but I would say probably an hour and 20 minutes later, I started to feel like shit. Had to go lay down. Ended up falling asleep. Didn't mean to, but just fell asleep. And weirdly enough, I had a dream where I threw up and looked in the toilet, and there was like these giant wriggling fucking worms, white worms. So I think my stomach hurt while I was sleeping. Obviously, woke up and yeah, I was just like super sick. But then it only lasted until maybe like 10 o'clock. I was I felt like shit all day, and I didn't know that you could get food poisoning that happened that quickly. Came on and sort of went not fully went away, but enough for me to come here. Yeah, I didn't know that was possible. I had to go where I talked to Chat GPT about it, and yeah, apparently it is. There's a specific kind of bacteria that only fucks you up for like 6 hours. So McDonald's sucks with their shitty chicken strips. What was I gonna grab when I walked past? Oh yeah. So yeah, if I haven't showed you the trimming scissors I was talking about. So how do I focus? You can see the logo. Come on. How do you get it to fucking focus? There we go. No, come on. I'm gonna give up soon. All right. Another time. The logo, I promise you, is laser etched on the blade. Maybe on the table here. But those are coming also. Nope, just doesn't want to do it. Too close, I think. I'm trying to hold the phone too close. I shouldn't turn the phone sideways. There, no, yeah. Whatever. So yeah, I designed this package. Pretty proud of it. I was having a discussion with the manufacturer today. I asked them, like, are these going to come with like a staple or something to hold that shut? And there's a little bit of a language barrier. So I sent a picture of a stapler, and I get a picture back with like 5 staples, like all over the package. And I was like, you know what? Nope, I'll do it here. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was just curious. And they were like, you want us to use they said something, I forget what they said. It was something like glue tape or something was the term. I was like, no, please. Yeah. So we're happy to put a staple on there. So they're good though. They're good. And I've never tried to ever conceal the fact that we order some of these things from a Chinese manufacturer. It's just like, we wouldn't be able to give them away for free if we didn't. Like, if I tried to have this stuff manufactured in the US, those scissors would probably cost me like, I would have to imagine more than 10 or 15 bucks to have them made. Even if I were to order, I wouldn't be able to order as many as we did. It was just not possible for a company of our size. It's not possible to order stuff like that in those kind of quantities to be able to sort of just give them away liberally. So yeah, we have them made in China, but we always are very careful about the quality, and we get samples sent to us. Like these I went through. I don't know why I didn't ask the company that we have our packaging made by, if they have scissors. Like I tried to find all these different companies to make me some. There we go. There you can see the logo there. But yeah, so these have like a angled blade, and like Chikomasa, which are like the scissors that professional, I guess you would use the word professional trimmers use, have a curved blade. The most common ones have a curved blade. I was not able to find a curved blade scissor that was anywhere that had any, they were terrible. All the curved blade scissor samples from these companies were utter garbage. The steel, if you know anything about steel, the steel used for these scissors is the same as like 420 steel, funny enough, which is like a common stainless steel that's used in scissors. It's fine. It's a fine steel. It's not as nice as the steel used in Chikomasa. Is a Japanese company, and they use like really high quality steel with non-stick coating on there, and we're not a scissor company. We're a seed company. We'll put that kind of effort into our seeds, but the scissors, they're just like more of a novelty giveaway thing. And if we're gonna sell them, we're not gonna sell them for very much money. Like we'll sell them to be able to like maybe recoup what we paid total for the thousands of them that we're ordering, but not because we're probably not gonna sell that many units. But yeah. And then if we do sell them, we'll just use that money to buy like another cool thing. What did somebody recommend today? Actually, she's probably, if I would imagine that she's here. One of the 7 people watching. What did you recommend? Spray bottles, little, like for spraying your plants. I thought that was a good idea. So maybe we will get some Speedrun spray bottles next. We're trying to get things that people will use in their grow instead of just snapback hats and some hoodies and some normal like expected merchandise that companies always get. I thought it would be cool to get some stuff that you don't usually see and stuff that people can use. Like, okay, yeah, maybe like the scissors are not going to be like Chikomasa quality scissors, but they're good. I have personally trimmed a whole pound with them. It was the first pound I trimmed in a long time. And I've got big hands, and they were comfortable to use. That style of scissor, you want them to be loose, like when you're opening and closing them. You don't want them to have any resistance with that, whatever screw, whatever you call it, like the screw holding the two halves of the two handles together. You don't want there to be resistance. You don't want it too tight. And we went through a lot of samples, and that was probably the main decision-making factor in why we chose these over any other. There were ones that looked almost exactly like Chikomasa's, but they were like too tight, and they were just clunky. These, out of all of them, for me, worked the best, and they had that angle on the blade, which is better than a straight blade, not as good as a curved blade. So it's good. It's good. I had fun designing the package, and like I said, they're I don't want to say a novelty, but they're not our main focus. They're just they're for fun. Yep. Where did I? But yeah, maybe spray bottles. If anybody thinks of another solid idea for an item that we could put our logo on, that's a reasonable thing to order and like plan to give away, not plan to sell. Like that's always the plan, is to give them away for free when we order stuff like this. So the one thing that we did price out that was just a little bit out of our price range for something that we would order a lot of and give away for free was they have the it's not spandex, forget what the sleeves that protect your arms when you're pruning your plants, protect your arms from getting sticky. For me, it's just, I get hives when I reach into plants. I'm allergic to weed. I'm allergic to cannabis plants. It's very common for people who work with cannabis plants very frequently to develop an allergy over time. And yeah, when I'm trimming, when I'm around large amounts, I get crazy red hives all over my arms. So those sleeves are really useful. There's a something armor, whatever. Armor, is that what it is? Yeah, so those are really helpful. And yeah, we priced those out. I had made a design for them and we priced them out, and they ended up being like more than $5 per set. That's a bit much if we're gonna order, like thousands of them. It was just too much. Had a really high minimum order quantity too. I think that was just pretty far outside of what our manufacturer normally does, so they had to probably go outside of their own circle of manufacturing companies. 'Cause that's what I assume I'm dealing with when I talk to them, is they have multiple manufacturers that are all part of the same group. So when a schmuck like me contacts them through Alibaba originally, they're able to get anything. I could probably ask for sneakers and they would come back with a price and a minimum order quantity for Speedrun Seeds sneakers. It's been crazy. Whatever we've asked for so far, they've been able to do and give us a number. So we are taking suggestions for like merch items. If anyone can think of something that would be grow related and cool. I missed some comments here. Money guys come in and want it sold already or be able to try it at cutting. They don't understand how it works. Yeah, right. Money went with grows, with commercial grows, like they will influence people to harvest, or the growers to harvest early. They will you might end up with a shitty trim because they bring in, like these companies that do like a rush 1-day trim job on shit instead of having decent trimmers come in or having their staff take their time. Money guys always want their investment back, and that's what when I've been part of setting up a grow, I always tell them, whatever number you're thinking this is going to cost, double it. And that's what you'll be lucky to pay. So, I probably give myself that same advice, but I didn't really. It's still hard to prepare for that. But yeah, we actually ended up doing pretty well with this room. I am not for reasons relating to trying to save money, but I am trying to use stuff that is accessible and available to home growers. So the lights that I'm using, the company that I got them from is IGH Supply. They are, I don't even know if I would say budget or entry level. They're just not super fancy, spectrum tune, whatever lights. They are lights that have everything that that you need in an LED, a 700 watt LED light. And Floraflex is the company that makes them, and they are vertically integrated on this product. So they're making every part of it is the diodes, the drivers, all that. They are making their own, so they're able to sell them for $300. IGH Supply has usually they're like closer to 400, 360 something, 375. IGH Supply still has them for $299, which I thought I was getting like a 420 deal. But yeah, no, they're still the same price on their website. They are Floraflex 700 watt LED light. There's not even like a name for them. They're just 700 watt LED lights. Those, yeah. So, and then I'm using AC Infinity controllers and fans. Nothing special there. Something that you could go and get from AC Infinity. I am using their humidifiers, and I haven't actually tested those super well. I haven't decided if I want to use it, but yeah, here's an AC Infinity fan exhaust, just kind of pulling air out of the room. So it reminds me I do need to test these humidifiers a little bit more rigorously, but so yeah, this is a big Quest dehumidifier. You guys aren't going to have one of those, but we had an extra one. It's not because we needed it. We just had it. So we ended up buying new dehumidifiers, the big 225s that you put on the wall at our other facility. So that one just kind of got... Now it was there was some obsolescence that happened with some of the stuff that we have here. These are hand-me-downs that came from our other place, and so we're using them here because it's not like they're bad. They're just not. They're not as heavy duty. Bigger room over there. So yeah, but mostly everything else is stuff that's accessible and available. We'll probably use a CO2 burner, which you don't see a lot of home growers doing, and I think it's because people are afraid of having an open flame going in their house. I've never heard of a grow burning down because of a CO2 burner. I've heard of a grow burning down because of bad electrical. That's usually what causes it. I've heard, lights, whatever, overloaded panels. I've never heard of, because that's what those CO2 burners, the companies that make them, they're pretty aware that they're selling a product that has an open flame, which is scary. So they make them very safe. They are, like some heaters or whatever have a pilot light. Hot water heaters, I guess, have pilot lights. Some stoves have pilot lights. There's open flames. People have open flames in other contexts in their house. But usually you don't see people using, adding CO2 with a burner. Maybe just because it's not necessary. Some people's tents might be. It's not normal for a home grower to really need additional CO2 because their plants are not exhausting the supply of CO2. You're not dropping below environmental levels of CO2 in your house. That's usually the reason why they don't need one. But some people do, and those people you don't often see running a burner. So, but we may do a CO2 because we are probably going to have so many plants in here that we will come down below environmental CO2 levels, and that will necessitate adding some more in and running one of those CO2 canisters that just inject CO2, actual CO2 directly into the room from a compressed canister. You have to get those refilled. They're a pain in the ass. Burners, you just use propane, so it's easier. Yeah, I might call it here. Probably not gonna put the seeds in on this live. Save that for tomorrow. But one of the guys will do the rest of the trays in the morning. I wasn't actually planning to come and do this myself, but I figured, why not? Why not? I was feeling better. Didn't do a live yesterday, so I owed one. Yep, I wear Crocs. I owed the YouTube gods a live stream, because I'm trying to do a live stream every day. I like doing them late because less people show up, and I get less like anxious about doing them when there's less people. And then I figure the more frequently I do them, the more comfortable I'll get with it, and then I'll start really getting a little bit more serious. But this, it'll be cool to learn how to use this. I don't think I need a camera that's any better than this phone. This is not the phone that I'm filming with is the phone that's used for, not my phone, the phone that's used for Speedrun. So yeah, I think this one, my phone, should be enough. I don't think I'll need. I was gonna like upgrade my DSLR camera, but I think I'll be able to get away with not spending that money on that. It's cool, but it does like selfie stick mode, and it's got this little thing that you can use to track people. Like it'll go back and forth if it'll follow people around the room. I had a gimbal before that totally sucked. It was a something Crane 2. It was terrible. It was so hard to balance the camera or the phone on there. I would spend 20-30 minutes trying to balance the thing, and then by then like batteries would be low. And I have noticed that the battery on this thing, this gimbal, maybe it doesn't tell me the exact. It's not like bars. It's just a green or red battery on there, and it went from green to red pretty quick when it coming out of the box. So maybe it was just on the verge. It was like, maybe it was like, whatever, 60% charged. But yeah, I think I'll be able to. I'm trying to think. I guess I could put this phone in there and test it out for this end of this live. You just sort of do this. I don't know how to tell it what I want. There we go. Okay. All right. Hold on. Come on. Let's go. This is a folding phone, so it's kind of big. All right. There we go. Oh no, hold on. It did not like that. Okay, it'll restart. All right, does that feel nice and stable? Nope. Freaking out? All right. Having a little seizure? Nope, that's probably making you sick. Let me try restarting it again. I switched phones on it. You know, I had one phone in there and then I swapped phones. It probably did not take too kindly to that. Don't change the orientation. Okay. Yeah. This is not working. Nope, not working. All right. Well, I will. I'll play around with it, and maybe I'll figure it out. Like I said, this is a folding phone that's in there that I'm using for this live. So there we go. It's kind of heavy and thicker than a regular phone, but yeah, I think I can. I'll play around with this and I'll start using it for the live streams, and I keep telling you guys we have videos coming out, and we do. It just takes a while to get them edited. I know nothing about video editing, so that is one thing that I don't feel the need to do myself. That's something that I tend to do, is try to do all that kind of stuff instead of hiring somebody who is far better than me. So yeah, it's been an hour. We'll probably close it down for tonight. And we will, before we do get going, we've had like 40 gallons of water sitting in these tanks ever since we put them up. We wanted to test them out, make sure that there was no leaks. And a recent conversation with somebody on the subreddit was a good reminder that always never let water sit. Never let water sit and then use it. Always empty out a tank and then clean it and then refill it. Peroxyacetic acid is a really good thing to clean a tank with. If you don't have that, you could use H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. Peroxyacetic acid will kill a wider range of microbes, bad microbes. Bad microbes are something that probably just take this out of the game. Bad microbes are something that don't get mentioned enough and are like the reason that most people's problems, plants will just randomly start looking like shit and they don't know what they're doing wrong. Very possibly that they have Pythium. Root rot. If your roots are slimy, root rot is fungal pathogens are the cause of root rot. Pythium is usually to blame for what people perceive to be root rot, and then Fusarium is probably the most common and least discussed problem in commercial cannabis cultivation. A lot of growers don't even know about Fusarium and what it can cause. When you're growing from seed, your risk is a lot lower. And when you're bringing in clones, like if you are going to the dispensary and buying a clone for your grow at your house, you're at high risk for bringing in, it's a fungal pathogen called Fusarium. So yeah, it's something that we will be discussing, talking about, and that's the reason we are going to empty and heavily clean these water tanks before we use them. Like we tested these trays, we put water through these first 4 trays here, and they will be emptied and cleaned and run again. And we're gonna soak the wicking mats in a product called Oxidate, Oxidate, Oxidate. And YouTube does not like. I don't know. Can you shun? I guess there are gun channels. You're allowed to have guns on YouTube, right? All right. I forgot. There's questions maybe to answer here. Stoked you got a gimbal. Oh, people like the gimbal. One person likes the gimbal. I plan on trying aero pots. Are those the ones that have like the little cone-shaped holes on them? All that is. Can you correct these bacteria if contracted? What measures? So they're not bacteria. They're fungus, fungal pathogens is what we call them. Which that's a for most people it's just that's semantics. But there are specific types of trichoderma beneficial microbes. When you feed your plant with something like recharge, even something that has sugar, sugars are the least necessary and most overused and one of the biggest wastes of money in cannabis nutrient in the nutrient world for cannabis. You don't need sugars. Don't add sugars. Don't add sweeteners. Don't do it. Don't bud candy. Don't do any of that. Your plant does something called, it produces something called root exudates. It exudes sugars from its roots to feed the microbial populations in your medium. If you have a solid grow going, you don't need to supplement with more sugars. And by supplementing with sugars, you could be feeding the bad microbes like Fusarium and Pythium. You're just indiscriminately putting out sugar into the grow without thinking about like, hey, which microbes am I trying to feed here? And do I have a solid population of them it's not usually not there's not really a good plan for microbes, for beneficial microbes in most circumstances, and most people just sort of feed with sugars because that's what you do. The growers are told that you need to feed your microbes sugar because that's what they eat, and then the microbes help your plant. Well, that's not exactly the case. The benefit of a lot of these microbes is way oversold. And then all those traded grows. 40 of them. The benefit of the microbes is way oversold, and then the risk of the harmful, the deleterious microbes, sugars, and fungi is undersold. It's not talked about. It's almost completely ignored. And here, I'll switch the camera around, even though I haven't shaved my head in a minute. Hair loss is a thing. So the people don't really talk about bad bacteria, bad fungal pathogens, and that we're going to hope to try to at least change that for the people who are listening to our rants. And you're going to hear from David Cilia, who is the agronomist that I trained under initially before I was an agronomist, when I was just a grower, and we hired an agronomist at our grow. I don't like this shirt. And David Cilia showed up and sort of just changed my whole concept of cannabis cultivation, and I never looked back. I'm gonna switch it up. It's you always have something to learn. You always have somewhere to go. There's a lot a lot of people on the internet who will tell you, I've been growing for 20 years and you definitely need sugars to feed your microbes. And I'm happy to talk to those people. I would love to bring, just to do like a live stream like this with some of those people, like somebody who uses sells living soil even. I've been challenging. I've put out an open challenge. Somebody come and do a live stream with me and define living soil for me. Define the term living soil. Like, where does, if I go to the Pro Mix that I have in a kiddie pool out back, if I go take some of it, that has microbes in it. The microbes are all over everything. They're all over your skin. The microbes exist. So even just plain cocoa is living. There are microbes in it. So let's say I'll add some microbes to the Pro Mix. It's Pro Mix HP, so it has some in there already. Okay, when does, is that the actual Migro guy? The guy, I think I watched that guy's video when, no matter what. What's up, dude? I watched your video when I decided to buy this light. Let me read what you said. Have to nip out to a meeting, would love to have watched it, had a chat, also completely agree about the definition, no matter what you do, someone will always tell you you're wrong. Yeah, 100%. Morning. That's cool. Thanks for stopping by. Now I feel like I have to save this video. I've been deleting them. But anyway, yeah. So defining living, and vegetable writer, I don't know if I've ever talked about this with him. He uses worms. Worms are a totally different thing. Like, he's got a whole red wiggler setup going on. I'm not talking about a living soil being bad or wrong. I'm just asking for someone to define it. Like, where does regular non-living, what's dead soil? What is dead soil? What is that? Doesn't exist. Everything has microbes, unless you sterilize it, unless you pasteurize the soil, then you have dead soil. But that is not a thing. So all soil is living soil. So using the term living soil to sell soil is disingenuous, I believe. I would say that's a marketing term and not a actual thing. So I challenge, to this day, anybody, living soil equals marketing good compost. Another thing, compost. There is, I believe your soil should only be, I'd have to ask David on this one. You'll see him more in our actual YouTube videos. Maybe we'll do a live together. I think you're supposed to have like 6% compost or something. People way overuse compost. Compost is also a term that has a wide definition. There's chicken compost. There's all sorts of compost. But again, sand as what is not living soil. Is that what you're saying? Sure. Okay. Yeah. Like maybe sand. But there's also you go to the beach, like beach sand. It's a ton of microbes in that. Microbes are everywhere, and no soil is devoid of them. So I extend that challenge to anyone who can come and define that term for me, and defend its use as a marketing term for soil. Because I believe people just decide to use it and they don't have a definition, like they don't have a product that's not living soil and the product that is. Like there's nothing they put in it to make it living soil. It's living soil by by opinion, not living soil objectively. There's no objective living soil. Mine is 3-part worm casting, Irish peat, and perlite. I wish I did it with cocoa instead of peat moss. Cocoa and peat moss have different water retention characteristics. They're not necessarily. There's also different types of cocoa. The cocoa can be really chunky or it can be really fine. There's all sorts. It's a super wide range. But for this grow, we're doing Pro Mix HP. Usually we would use Sunshine Mix number 4. It just so happened that Pro Mix was the more available and better option for us this time. Peat sucks, the tray to grow dry and takes the whole tank. Yeah. I mean, you want it to. Your plant with the auto pot is what's dictating. There's no overwatering happening or underwatering happening with an auto pot. The plant is dictating what the pace is. So sucking up all the water is a good thing, I would say. And I guess the only downside is that maybe you didn't buy enough nutrients. So. But yeah, what else is there to say before I leave? I think that's pretty much it. Cool that Migro, how do you pronounce that? Migro? I guess it's Migro, like Migro. Cool that he was here. Wonder how he found us. It was like only 10, he's telling me there's only 10 people here. But I think moving forward, I'm going to try to have topics for these live streams. Like I was going to talk about starting seeds, and I kind of never did. Talk about like what gives you a better chance of success with germination. It's bottom feeding, no top feeding. With these autopots, yes. Which took me a minute to understand, like to believe in. It's hard to find like scientific studies in the cannabis space for using stuff like this, like, to defend, to justify the use of something like an autopot. It would be ideal to see like a scientific study at a university with cannabis, but that doesn't happen. So I've seen enough evidence, photographs, what you might call anecdotal evidence, but I've seen enough of it. At a certain point, the volume of evidence, it all kind of piles up, and eventually you have to believe in something. And these autopots, I've seen enough to accept it as proof that there is enough synergy happening between autopots and autoflowers that it's worth it to invest in a whole room full of them. More so with autopots or autoflowers than I've seen with photoperiods. I think there's something special happening with autoflowers and autopots, and I think we'll explore that more deeply as we have conversations with Autopot USA. Moving forward, I think we're going to do another live stream with them. I've been after the top viewed video slot on their YouTube channel for a minute. I think we're still number 2, but we'll get number 1, and then I hope maybe we'll do a YouTube live stream. I think they like Instagram lives. I don't like Instagram. I don't like anything Meta does, especially I don't think I'll ever do another Facebook live. Come on, I think the most recent one I did was the last one I will ever do. So yeah, I think the live streams will stay YouTube for now. But all right, well, I'm probably gonna go home. Favorite soil mix. Yeah, you kind of have to define soil mix. Like I like an lightly amended or completely inert medium, and we use soilless medium, which is ProMix looks to most people like soil. They would call it soil, but ProMix and stuff like ProMix and Sunshine Mix number 4, like those are distinct from soil because they are not composed of organic matter that's breaking down. And the word for that, when that breakdown is the result of microbes consuming the organic matter and breaking down those large organic molecules into ions, plant bite-sized pieces for the plants, that process is called mineralization. It's taking large organic molecules and taking them down to their mineral form, mineral being like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium ions. So that's not happening in perlite, in ProMix. ProMix is just there to hold your roots and drain the water well. Like, it's not there to feed any plant. It's not there to break down and feed your plants in any way. That we do with our nutrients. Our nutrients, by the way, are very close. Little secret that I'll tell you guys. I think I still am going to delete this one, even though we had a celebrity stop by the chat. Some people, not all the testers, but some people are going to be receiving some test bottles of the new, to you guys, the new, to us, we've been working on it for years, full auto, the liquid full auto. Certain people will be receiving some bottles, but they're going to be instructed not to tell anybody that they're using full auto for a minute, just until some other things happen. But yeah. Oh no. My vaporizer's dead. Yes, yeah. That is the big news for this week. And we will I'll try this again. I'll do this. I'll play around with this tonight, and I'll get, by the next time you see a live stream, it'll be all on the gimbal. You won't have to deal with me shaking the camera around as I pace around the grow room and rant at you. But yeah. Some nutrients are going out, and artwork is very close to being done. So we will be releasing our liquid version of our nutrient, because we did release like a salt version at this point a long time ago. The liquid's going to be coming out very soon, and it is going to be very simple to use. It's 3 bottles, and you only ever use 2 parts at once, and it's the same amount of, it's always 15 milliliters per gallon of, it's all right. I'll tell you, everybody here has to keep this a secret because nobody has been told this, but the full auto, there's 3 parts, and they are called ready, aim, and fire are the 3 parts. And it's 15 milliliters per gallon of each one. So you'll use ready and aim, and then you'll switch to aim and fire. And the amount that you use will never change. So it's really a 2-part nutrient system. No CalMags necessary, no additives, nothing else. Just the full auto. And it is very much formulated for autopots. For autoflowers. We've been working on this for years, and we had, our grow and bloom. No, there's really no such thing with autoflowers. It's just a slow shift from what you would call the veg stage into the flowering stage. No, we will not be selling the powder moving forward. If it's not taken down off our website yet, we're launching our new website pretty soon. We were just kind of categorizing all of our strains. We're still forced to say indica and sativa because that's how cannabis is sold these days, even though neither of them exist. Those are made up terms. But that's why we say indica effect profile, sativa effect profile. Has nothing to do with the origin of the genetics, the place in the world that the genetics originated. That's all bullshit. And there's no such thing as 100% indica or 100% sativa. Those are not defined terms. Like, there's no definition for what, there's no sample, what's it called? A reference material. There are companies that hold reference materials of everything, of like literally every substance in the world. I think a couple companies out there that have like a reference material for that thing, like pencil eraser reference material or whatever. Like, there's every single substance in the world is there as a reference material, even like illegal drugs and stuff. And there's no such thing. There's no reference material for indica and sativa, no genetic reference. So when people say this is 100% indica or 100% sativa, they're lying or they're mistaken. More often, they're lying, knowingly. When are we gonna drop it for sale? Soon. It's things take longer than. What strain lineage are you using? Just join the chat. Curious. What strain lineage are we going to be using for the grow? Our own genetics. We're going to be this grow and our other room that we don't post. Oh, crane fly. That we don't post videos and pictures from anymore, just because it's for compliance reasons. We are doing the same genetics at the same time. So we are going to be doing a run of Granite Haze. We are planting Granite Haze F6 to make the F7. And then also, I know we're going to have some Sour Black Cherry Haze in here. I don't know if we're going to do the F2 of that, because we do have an F2. Orange Portal is going to be worked on separately at a later date. This grow does not have Orange Portal in it. It's not on the schedule for this one. Your own genetics from what world region? Again, so genetics being from a region of the world is kind of what I was saying, is that is a misunderstanding about how cannabis genetics work. Like, even if you go to Afghanistan and you take some of the genetics that they're growing out there in the desert or whatever, they have been interbreeding their genetics with high quality stuff from around because they want there is even the land races of the world have been polluted, you should say. And it's kind of pointless to go find a land race other than for like the novelty of it, because even for autoflowers, that would be ridiculous to try to go get some ruderalis that is a land race ruderalis. Nobody even really is positive about where the first ruderalis came from. Like I did an interview with Jorge Cervantes, who wrote the Grower's Bible. Never released it, actually. But he had some strong opinions about who had the first ruderalis, who had the first autoflower in the U.S. And There are other people who have other opinions about it. So I don't know what region of the world the genetics that we have originated from. We have genetics that we have been, why use an inert medium versus an organic living soil? Because we can control it easier, because we have control over it, and there's no need for a living soil. Living soil doesn't exist anyway. But okay, so the genetics that we have, if you go you're on YouTube right now, so if you go search on YouTube for Humboldt Seed Company autoflower mega hunt, I think is what they called it. So we did a 30,000 plant pheno hunt after some breeding that we had done. We planted 30,000 plants in an acre, our acre canopy, and we did that to find some autoflower genetics that had promise, and then we took those autoflower genetics that we found to be promising, and we did it all in 5 and 6 gallon pots. And if you go watch that video, you'll see. I need to stop saying if you go to that video, you will see a lot of empty spots, and that's either because we killed those plants or because we brought them inside. So we took genetics that we liked from outside and brought them in, and then we interbred those. And Nat Pennington, who is the owner of Humboldt Seed Company, when he came up to our farm, actually the same day that we shot that video, he dropped off a big thing of genetics that he had been working with and just didn't have time to get to. And that's where we used some of those genetics, and then some of the genetics that we had that was part of that 30,000 plant hunt. And then the next year we did another 25,000 plant pheno hunt on the same acre. We used some of, at the time it was Mandalorian genetics, which is now Gnome Automatics. And we took these genetics and we crossed them with themselves, or we crossed them with something else. And then we planted minimum 1,000 seeds of that either new generation or that new cross, and we looked for phenotypes that were rare, super rare, 1 in 1,000 phenotypes. Usually if we were working very intensively with a new genetic, we would plant like 5,000 of it outside, or inside probably close around 1,000. Inside you have a lot more control, and you're able to, usually if we were planting the genetics inside, we had already identified some phenotype that we wanted to use and brought it in from outside. So yeah, planted thousands of these new crosses or new generations, and then found the really unique stuff and did our best to stabilize those unique traits and unique phenotypes. And then we would take those stabilized phenotypes and cross them with something else. And at a certain point, we found that this is something that we can now call our own. We have transformed this and worked on it enough so that we are not taking somebody else's genetics and just crossing it with something and selling it. We put in the work and we made something new. So that's where our genetics came from. Plant murderer. Yeah, we kill way more plants than we keep. Can you see our water line? Sure. Let's go back to the start. Then I might call it a night. So, 200 gallon tank. This is redundant. It's just not on purpose. Shut-off valve. This came from Autopot. I don't know the exact specifications. 1/2 inch poly from autopot.co.uk, not autopot.com. Then each tray. So what Autopot told us was that this blue quarter-inch poly is more flexible and better, I guess, in general, than the black poly that we used over there. We started using the black poly and kind of just didn't even think about the fact that they had sent us 2 colors. So I messaged Autopot USA and Luke, who's like the CEO there, I guess, and he said, yeah, the blue stuff is just, I forget what, better for something. So 1/2 inch poly to a T that goes from 1/2 inch to the 1/4 inch here, and then shut off valve for each pot, and then just normal auto pot. And each one is rigged up that way, and it goes all the way down to elbow, and then at the end we have it. There's 2 options for how you would have the end of a run like that, and it's the same here, same, you know, two irrigation zones, and this is a shut-off valve. Instead of, you can just kind of fold the irrigation line over and kind of zip tie it to shut, and that's another way to do it. And we haven't tied these ones in yet, these loaner tents, but they'll be tied into this irrigation zone. So yeah, it's one, your irrigation zone 1 is the one that's against the wall, and zone 2 is in the middle of the room. Very simple. Very simple. One straight line. So, thoughts on using multiple pollens, like 4 or 5 on one mother, always get some interesting results. We've done that before. Sometimes it can be, there's some utility to that. For us, usually there's no reason to go that far. We do things a lot differently than a lot of breeders do to begin with. But yes, so we have, the way that you would do that is you can reverse a single branch or a couple branches on a plant, which is how we get all of our pollen. And then you take a plant that you're looking to pollinate, let's say, and you would take 2 branches and you would literally cover the entire plant with plastic, like a plastic trash bag, and tape it off. Do the best of your ability. Tape off everything but the 2 branches. Seal it as best as you can. And then you pollinate those 2 branches with a paintbrush. And then once you feel that pollen has taken, then you cover those branches, and you do it again and again and again. And you can have one plant that is producing multiple, as you just make sure you tape off those branches so you know what's what. And if you do that, so let's say you reverse one branch of that plant. Let's say you have 10 plants, okay? 10 plants that you're looking to work with the genetics of. And each plant, you have reversed a single branch at the bottom of that plant. So you cut those pollen branches off, and you let them finish elsewhere, so they're not dropping pollen and pollinating each other. But right before they open up, the pollen sacs open up, you cut them off. You cut the branches off, take them elsewhere to open up, on their own elsewhere, and then each of those pollens gets applied to one of, let's say you have 10 branches on each plant, ideally. So each of those pollens pollinates every single plant. So every single plant pollinates every single other plant. And then you can have every single plant with 10 different varieties, 10 different crosses on each one. And that way, it's like breeding for dummies. You never lose a genetic because you have every single potential cross that you could have made. So, yes, that is possible, and we have done sort of a version of that. Not with 10, but yeah. It's very, very difficult. Difficult to not make a mistake and pollinate shit. Very difficult to keep track of. Very difficult to go that deep and to take notes on the traits of each phenotype and put them in phenotype categories, you know, because a phenotype is not just, a plant does not have just one phenotype. It has a phenotype kind of for terpenes and for structure, and so two plants can look identical but smell totally different. Would you call those the same phenotype? They're the same phenotype structurally, but not smell-wise. So it's very complicated, and people don't really. I've never really heard an in-depth discussion of how complex breeding can get. I would love to talk about it with somebody, but I'm not sure that there's how many other breeders out there have really, like, we can only go so deep, because it's just not. This room we can go really deep. This is a passion project where we will have time to go deeper than we've ever gone, more complex than we've ever gone, and that's going to be fun to document, because as you can see, I spend a lot of time here. I sprouted 2 Granite Haze F6, and some others failed. How forgiving is it if I split the 2 so I can transplant? The idea was to cull the worst. How forgiving is what? So am I okay to split the coin and divide the plants so I am growing 2 and not culling 1? David, I'm having a hard time understanding the question. Hey Ben, I sprouted 2 Granite Haze cocoa coins. I'm assuming that you're talking about like a puck, be careful with those pucks, but yeah. So I double seed in one pod. I wouldn't plant 2 plants in a single container. That never yields, unless it's a really big container. That never yields the results that anybody ever is looking to get. Why? Why do you want to do that instead of just having 2 containers? They are in planter beds. Oh, okay. So if they're in planter beds, if it's not in the ground, try to take a piece of like cedar wood or something and separate. Put a divider, and then if you have 2 plants in one bed, then you can have 2 soil zones, and they can keep to themselves and not compete for nutrients. I mean, at seedling. So you're saying that. Is it okay to plant extra in case a couple die? Let's go away, have a good female, say double dream, and 4 males on each side of it, and let the pollen fly out there, of course. Kind of, you're talking about open pollination. So we got buckets and buckets of seeds from open pollinations. A lot of regular seeds, not, so we have some feminized that they're just not to our standards to like release, so we just have them. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them. All right, so they sprouted, right? But some failed, so I want to split this. What do you mean, like, when you say split, you mean like take them away from each other? You had 2 that sprouted and 1, and you're trying to untangle the roots? Yeah. If you have 2 and you're trying to save them, if you're going to try to attempt that, run them under some water, like in the sink, and try to let the water separate them. don't pull, never pull two tangled seedlings apart. Really, you're probably, with autoflowers, you're probably going to fuck them up more than just letting them go. Like, if you're confident in your ability to, because you don't see what the root hairs, it's such a, they're almost invisible to the human eye, the damage that you would be doing by trying to separate them. So I would say don't do it if you can avoid it. But if you're going to try it, use a very gentle stream of water, and like sort of just don't try to pull them or separate them with your fingers. Just let them kind of try to come. And then if they don't, they don't. You know, you put them back. But you're already, by doing that, you're harming them. Somebody, I'll tell a real quick story and then I'll leave. So a breeder, I will say, once gave me a method for breeding autoflowers that I tried, and then I was like, well, I didn't understand the point of it, but maybe I wasn't doing it right. There was a method to breed autos so what you would do is you would take a seedling at about 10 to 12 days old, and you would run the root ball under, it's not really a root ball at that point, it's just the root system underwater, and you would completely get all the soil off. And then you would take a brand new fresh razor blade out of the pack and start at the apical meristem, the very tip, and split the plant down the middle, completely splitting it into two halves. And then you would transplant each of the halves. And we did it. We did it like 4 times. And I think 3 out of the 4 times they survived. Both halves survived. And I never understood why you would do that rather than just only reversing a single branch or a couple branches on the plant. Why split a whole plant in half if you could just not reverse the whole plant? Never made sense to me. Like, we successfully did it, and then we reversed one half and and pollinated the other, but like we could still do that if we just pollinate, it damaged the plant to the point where each half, you don't yield much more pollen off of that half than you do off a couple of branches by reversing a couple of branches. So, and that breeder was very secretive about that he was like, you're in the family. If I tell you, I'm not going to reveal his name, but like he was very secretive about that. And if the technique worked really well, I probably would not even tell the story, and leave the name out. Like, if it was like if the technique made sense to me, I would keep it a secret. Timing works out to reverse a branch and pollinate the same plants. If you're lucky, you can reverse a couple branches and collect pollen, and then still have time to pollinate. If you have some finesse about when you spray the silver thiosulfate, we have a very balanced recipe that I will never release. That's IP that I can't, intellectual property that I can't give out. That's like one of the things that I will never. Unfortunately, I cannot give out the recipe that we use, the amount of each, and then the amount that we mix together. So you make a solution of silver nitrate and sodium thiosulfate each. You make 2 solutions, and then you mix those solutions together, and that's how you make silver thiosulfate. And everybody has very different variations on it. We have a recipe where oftentimes we only need to spray the plant a single time, and we get a really nice reversal. Sometimes, there's certain plants that just don't want to reverse as easily. But getting a full reversal is the goal, where you see no pistils, no female characteristics, just male traits. But if you get mostly male and you get still a few pistils in there, you're fine. And that's what every breeder is trying to do when they're using silver thiosulfate, is get a single spray recipe. And we did enough testing to be able to identify that blend. And you got to make sure that you're using 99.9 plus % pure silver nitrate and sodium thiosulfate to begin with. Certain brands are poor quality, even though they say they're pure. No, it's not harmful to have to spray more than once, but yeah, I mean, ideally, you don't have to do things more than once if you don't have to. And getting a full reversal early enough to be able to get that maximum amount of pollen off of that minimum amount of plant tissue that we're reversing, because that's the thing. We are only reversing a few branches. We're not reversing a whole plant. It would be so nice to be able to collect all that pollen off a whole plant. But then we would never see how that plant finishes, so we would never be able to take notes on the phenotype, the phenotypes, the different terpenes, the different structures. So many breeders reverse whole plants, and how can you do that and be sure about what you're breeding with? The plant that you reverse, you'll never know what that would have smelled like, and the yield you would have gotten, and the density of the flowers, and you never would get those traits. And I think that is a lesser form of breeding. It's a lesser technique. It's not as good. It's always cool when you're successful with recipes. Hopefully in the future there'll be a sharing of farmer knowledge without work. We share everything. That's the one thing that we kind of have to keep to ourselves. It took us so long to get it, and you kind of have to keep something. We can't just give away everything. I think we're very liberal with the knowledge that we give away. The whole process of like the one branch and then the cutting it off. I think I'm being pretty generous by giving away that whole thing. And I wouldn't give away the whole kind of process if we weren't at a place where I feel comfortable giving that away. I think we've become at this point, we've found enough success in this niche that even if somebody else uses that technique, we welcome it, and we would love to help, and we would love to talk with those people. But it's you can take the technique and you can use it, but there's nothing. It doesn't harm us in any way. So we're happy to share those parts. But the silver SDS recipe, we got to keep that to ourselves. Are you looking to distribute your genetics, new nutrients in Europe? If we can find a production there, we can't ship them across the pond, so we would have to find somebody to produce it there. Okay, guys, I'm almost at 2 hours here. Granted, I was kind of just talking while I was working a little bit, but I think this is where I'm gonna call it. I mean, I might as well go just the extra 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes to the end of 2 hours. But yeah, I think I'll take any last little questions, but I think if there's no other questions, I'm gonna head out. It's late. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, good God, it is 2:30. Yeah. I had a crazy idea several years back about trying nutrients direct to the flower in the form of a makeshift IV. Thoughts? Not going to work. You can't IV nutrients. So plants don't absorb fertilizer. Fertilizer never ends up in the plant tissue, in the xylem and the phloem. Plants uptake ions. If plants absorbed fertilizer and you were using like fish emulsion, your plant would taste and smell like fish, right? So plants don't take fertilizer into their the shoots. So roots and shoots, right? The roots uptake ions. There's something called cation exchange and anion exchange. Cations are taken up by the what happened? Where am I? I had a microphone. Never mind. Whatever. I think it's on the other phone. That was an ADHD moment. Cations, anions. Plants uptake cations. There are nitrate ions and potassium ions and calcium and magnesium. That's cation exchange. That's the reason that you buffer your cocoa. Cocoa needs to be buffered, which means you need to fill up all those little, think about it like keys and keyholes. Each nutrient, each element, so as a NPK, and in this case, Ca and Mg, those are also, they're called secondary macronutrients. People lump calcium and magnesium with the micronutrients, but they are not. They are macronutrients for sure. So anyway, think of each nutrient, each element as a unique key, and soil can be full of keyholes. So cocoa is especially full of keyholes. Keyholes for calcium and magnesium. Cations. Calcium and magnesium will be stolen by your cocoa. The keys will end up in the cocoa holes instead of the plant holes. And that's why we buffer cocoa by flushing it with a calcium magnesium solution, or calcium solution. And that fills up all those keyholes so that when you grow a plant in it later, the plant gets the nutrients and not the cocoa. If that makes sense? So trying to intravenously deliver nutrients, like you said, can't work because that's not where nutrients go. Nutrients are in the root zone. The root zone, when it's wet, it's a solution, like a nutrient solution. So if you're using living soil, every time you water it, you're having either dissolution that's occurring, slow dissolution, dissolving, or you're having mineralization. The microbes are consuming your large organic molecules in that quote unquote living soil, and they are breaking it down into chunks that the plants can eat, which are ions. So that's what cations are, positively charged ions, and anions are negatively charged. And there are things that the plants need, that those are the essential nutrients, one of which is chlorine. People think chlorine in your tap water is a bad thing. No, it's actually one of the essential nutrients. And the amount that's in your tap water couldn't hurt a fly, couldn't hurt your microbes, couldn't hurt your plant. Never in a million years could the amount of chlorine that's allowed to be in tap water hurt anything in your container, in your microbial life, in your plant. So you don't have to let your water sit out overnight. That does absolutely nothing. And people hear me repeat that like a broken clock, but there's always new people. So it never hurts to remind you that letting your tap water sit out overnight is just wasting 24 hours for no reason. Yes, these are autopot Trader Grows. Have you ever had lockout isn't a real thing? So certain nutrients uptake can be limited. So when people talk about nutrient lockout as like a whole, like the plant is no longer absorbing any nutrients, when I say that's not a real thing, that's what I mean. You can have a nutrient failure to uptake or significant reduction in uptake of certain nutrients, and pH shifts can cause that. You want to be very careful about what your reservoir is at, and you want to monitor it. And you always want to monitor moving bodies of water, and inline. You want to make sure that if you're monitor your reservoir. I'm talking to home growers, so most of you don't have an inline pH meter, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, just keep an eye on it. Make sure you keep an eye on it all the time. pH isn't going to rise by the time it gets to the root zone. I guess you'd have to explain what you mean. The pH in your tank, in your reservoir, is a certain level, and then it slowly makes its way to the autopot, and there's between the amount of time that it takes for it to get from the reservoir to the autopot, because the root zone, it's touching the root zone as soon as it gets into the autopot. I guess you'd have to explain what you mean by the time it gets to the root zone. Are you going to develop a sapphire strain F3 crossed with Jehovah's Witness? That's a very specific question. Sapphire, we have an F3 already. We have not yet tested the F3, so we'll find out. If we don't like the F3, we won't release the F3. We have a million F3s that we've never released. Find 5.8 in res, 6.1 trays, so I know root zone is 0.1 to 2 higher, lockout every row. I don't think it's from high EC as I run 2.0 to 2.4, never over. Okay, so 6.1 is totally fine. People run pH way too low. There's no reason to. There's never been any research to justify running that, 5. I've seen people run 5.5 pH for like rock wool. With a good buffered cocoa, you don't have to run low pH like that. 5.8 is too low, I would say. 6.1 is fine. And do a saturated media extract. So take a handful. Okay, I'm going to leave after this. Stop baiting me into answering questions. Last thing I'm going to explain, and then I'm going. Imbalances and elements cause lockout. Right. So I have it's called Mulder. I think it's Mulder's chart. I have a poster that I designed. Maybe I have it here. Hold on. Hold on. I'll put you down for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so I do have it. Yeah, these I brought these over here. I'm gonna redo the. None of these are the I'm going to redo these all, but here it is. This is Mulder's chart. This is the speedrun version of Mulder's chart. So take Mulder's chart with a grain of salt. You can take that in. Synergy, antagonism, nitrogen. Too much nitrogen is bad for boron uptake. It's bad for copper uptake. It's bad for potassium. And like, this is, like I said, grain of salt. There's multiple different nitrogen ions. There are multiple, potassium. It's pretty. Mulder's chart is a pretty way to look at something, and I think it's visually appealing. It's very complex and it looks very smart, but it's really not as trustworthy as you might think. So yeah, yes, you are right that if you put too much calcium, you will inhibit other ions that have a similar positive charge. So calcium is Ca2+, is the cation. Magnesium is Mg2+. So they're both have a valence state. If you guys remember valence states from high school chemistry, they both have a valence state, a positive. They have. So basically, they will fight each other for those keyholes I mentioned, and that is, the chart is incomplete. Yeah, that's a visual. That I felt is eye candy more than science. So anyway, yes, you are correct. Ions fight for those keyholes. The calcium key will fit in the magnesium keyhole, and the affinities for certain cations, it's very, very complex science. Suffice it to say, you don't want to overdo calcium, because you will cause you can cause toxicity, and B, you will cause the plant to not, or the root zone will be, you're gonna outcompete magnesium. So that's one of the problems that happens when you over feed with any particular nutrient. Other nutrients with a similar charge are harmed. So yeah, okay, I don't see any new questions coming in, so I'm going to take that as a sign and an opportunity to leave. I will catch you guys another night this week. I'm trying to do every night, really trying to do every night. Don't hold it against me if I fail if I miss you one day or the other. I'll be back the next day. This is, if anybody knows me, you know that sometimes I have a hard time. I get over social media, and it can cause me to burn out a little bit. But this is a really good way of doing it, because it's like small groups of people, and ranting is good for my brain. If I can do it while I'm working, some people will listen. We even had a celebrity stop by tonight. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate all the questions. Yeah. Like I said, paranoid. We had a bona fide YouTuber stop by. I wonder why. Anyway, all right. Have a good one. Good night, guys. Thanks for stopping by.